Welcome to Talk Flicks with Kids and Chicks. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Nicole.
And today we're going to be talking about Jordan Peele's new movie, Us.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Jason?
There's a family in our driveway.
Want to get crazy? We can get crazy.
So, Nicole, what was your expectations kind of going into this film?
My expectations were extremely high for this film. Mm-hmm. The trailers were bananas. And so I was really excited for it. It was next to Captain... And actually, I want to say I probably was anticipating this even more so than Captain Marvel because I knew... You pretty much know what you're going to get out of a Marvel movie. And this seemed a little bit more original and intriguing. So I was really looking forward to this movie.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah, I mean, Get Out was amazing. So, this trailer just kind of came off like, whoa. And, it had the little remix of I Got Five on it. So it was just like, wow, like they were able to really kind of be creative I feel like a whole nother level with even just the music. And then it just really seemed like a very interesting story. And creepy because it's like, doubles, they're seeing themselves. And so just the kind of creepiness that the trailer kind of, gave visually, I was just like, yes, let's go. But when I went to go see it, I definitely feel like the trailer was better than the actual movie. And it was almost like a bit of a letdown for me. We were talking last night, and really, to me, this was like not even really, it didn't really feel like a movie. It felt like a skit from the Key and Peele show. And so, like, an extended skit. To me, it wasn't story-wise as complete as, like, Get Out was. It was just... It just kind of left you in a lot of confusion. And, honestly, it took a long time to even get engaged. Like, me and my dad went, and he was knocked out that whole first act. And I was like waiting for him to wake up. And that was kind of like my gauge for, okay, when is this movie about to pick up? And so it didn't pick up till way late. And so I feel like it took too long to kind of develop the story, which I think maybe they were trying to do too much.
I felt like he was trying to build up a lot of suspense.
Right.
Which would have worked if a lot of the other stuff hadn't been shown in the trailer. Like, we already knew the family was coming. We knew that there was going to be some type of conflict between the doubles. And it just took far too long to get to that point. And I understand that he was trying to, like, drop breadcrumbs here and there for other elements of the story. But it was extremely slow at the beginning. I mean, even just like the opening credit scene with the rabbits was annoying me. I was like, oh my God,
that slow zoom out took forever.
Yeah, I was like, when is this thing going?
And I feel like it wasn't enough payoff with the rabbits for you to start with that. Like, I like when they introduce stuff like in the very first scene that's going to be very important to, the overall plot. But I feel like those bunnies didn't do anything for me. Like, wasn't it like they were eating bunnies, or that was how they ate? What was? I didn't even understand.
From what I gather from other people's interpretations, and even just thinking about it on my own, the bunnies represented something else. What that is, I don't precisely know. And that's one of the things that really annoyed me about this movie, was that everything was rather ambiguous, whereas I felt like Get Out was pretty concise. And that was my biggest issue with the movie overall, was that everything was a little bit muddled. Yes. And I think, maybe for some people that is the excitement for them. They like to be able to sit and think and ponder, which I don't mind. But for me, this one was just a little too muddled for me.
It was doing too much. I feel like the whole explanation of these doubles was just, it wasn't done well enough to be able to truly understand it on the first go round. Like, literally, this movie you have to probably see a couple times to even get the basics. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were talking yesterday, like, oh, you know, it's just a movie you will see again. And it's like, if I saw it again, it wouldn't be to go see it again because I liked it. It would to try to figure out what the heck was even going on. And I feel like if I have to go see it twice to even get the basics, I don't really like this movie. And I probably won't even go see it again. I like Jordan Peele. I want to support him, but yeah.
I'll be honest with you. As much as I like Get Out, I only saw it the one time. I think. I don't think I
saw it a couple times. I saw it with,
and that's not because I didn't like it. It's just because 2018 was a pretty stacked year for movies, and so there were so many things coming out back to back that I just never really got around to seeing it.
That came out in 17 or 18. Get Out came out in 17, I think.
It just went off.
Yeah, because it's always the year before.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came out in 2017.
Okay.
Because I was still living in Houston at that point.
Oh, you know what? You are absolutely correct.
So,
like, if somebody threw on Get Out today, I would certainly sit through, watch it, and enjoy it just as much because I really like that movie.
And this movie was trying too much to be funny. Like, I feel like Get Out was not doing that as much. Like, it was a lot more serious. I feel like, yeah, it's horror, and I feel horror is kind of like an extension of the comedy genre in a lot of ways.
A little bit of that left.
And I don't mind a little bit, but it was just too much. Where I was just like, and then the fact that I'm confused, and he trying to make jokes. I'm like, but we don't even know what's going on. Like,
well, I think for me, what really annoyed me about some of the humor in it was that the trailer sold this as a hardcore horror film. And I saw an article just last night that was talking about, oh, audiences can't watch this with their eyes open. And I was like, what audience was this? Some kindergartners? Like, I don't really see.
My dad's eyes were closed, and he's old, but he was knocked out. So, you gonna close your eyes for a different reason.
Yeah, I don't see too many grown-ups being afraid of this movie. Like, there wasn't...
No, it didn't even have enough jump scares in it.
I didn't even feel like the main characters were in any real danger most of the time.
Yes, and that was one thing.
I felt like every time there was a conflict, I knew they were going to get out of it.
Yes.
And I've heard other movie pundits online say that they felt like there were certain parts of the story plot that you could almost telegraph what was going to happen in the next 30 seconds.
Yes.
And I felt the exact same way, and it was annoying me so much, and I was so angry.
You never felt like they were in danger. And then I'm like, why are these doubles not killing them? Like, when they killed their friends, the white family that they had went to the beach with, they just came in wrecking shop on them. Like, there was no, debate about who we are.
I think the difference was because of the surprise twist, which was that she wasn't an actual doppelganger.
But the husband was not. He didn't have that experience, so he should have got killed.
It was the reversal roles. Like, if you noticed at the end when they were trying to talk about whether they would leave or stay, and she told him, she said, "You're not calling the shots anymore. I'm in charge." And so I think in their version of the relationship, he was the alpha. He was running everything. But then in the doppelganger relationship, she was the alpha and running everything. And so because she was directing them, she was like, "Yeah, you go after her. You take that husband out of here." She was running everything.
But why didn't the husband, what's it called, Doppelganger? I'm still just like, to me, I don't understand why he wasn't just taken out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand with Lupita's character, because they had that connection where they actually switched places and they actually met each other before. But like with the husband, particularly the kids, probably as well, they had never really met them before for real. Maybe the son did when he went to the restroom, so I can maybe kind of see that. But the daughter and the husband, like, I didn't feel like there was a connection enough for them to be kind of lingering and not just straight up killing them. Like,
well, like I said, I felt like that was a part of the original's plan, was that she wanted to do that, torment, and because she had took her life.
I could see that.
Essentially, she had took her whole life,
and that should have been said. I feel like that's something that she should have been saying when she was like.
Well, she was saying it in a roundabout way. And it made a little bit more sense once the action. I mean, but like I said, the reveal was so. You saw it. I don't see how anybody could go through that entire movie and not see that
one coming.
I mean, that to me was like, okay. And I was really upset because I was expecting so much more.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I said. I felt like it was a good movie and not a great movie because I felt like it played it safe. I mean, we've seen that in horror movies a zillion times, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like for this to be an original movie, we were going to have a little bit more of an original concept, just like in Get Out. Like, I didn't see none of that stuff coming. I was like, whoa, Rose is not going to give him these keys.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you go back and watch it again, you see those little clues like, yeah, Rose was kind of like weird like that. And so with this movie, again, it was like the basic stuff I was not even following. So I kind of had a little bit of problem with that. But the scissors, I feel like when I first saw it, I was like, these scissors, like, what are these scissors meaning? But I think that was just the whole thing about them being tethered and then being split apart. So, you know, that's what that symbolism was there. So I was glad I was able to figure that out later on. Because I was just like, these scissors, like, I'm not getting it. And I feel like the movie should have just been called Tethered. They said that word a lot in the film, and I feel like that is a more accurate, I guess, description for what they were trying to do story-wise. Is like she's trying to separate from her. So, yeah, I think even the title could have had a little bit of work. Now, as far as that Jeremiah 11:11, I went back and read, because I was like, okay, what this? I was thinking, okay, does the Bible say something about having doubles or like shadows or like what is going on? So I went back and read it, and it was basically God telling the people that he was going to send an evil down that they would not be able to escape from, and when they cried out to him, he wouldn't listen. And so I was trying to relate that to this movie, and it kind of fits, but then it kind of just was, I don't know. It didn't, to me, really hit me like that as far as why they would put it in there and have that symbolism.
This whole movie, I think, was just abstract art. Because you could see this movie from a million different ways. And I guess that's why
and I mean, they were kind of like a play, because I guess everybody's double came out the base, wherever they were in these tunnels. And that's what they were saying, you know, at the beginning. Remember the little caption said they got all these tunnels and nobody knows what the purpose is for, so that was the purpose. But you know, maybe even showing how they got out the tunnels. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, that girl just went up the escalator. It seemed like they could have left at any time they
wanted to. Right. Yeah, right.
That's what was so crazy. I was like,
right. So I just feel like it needed. They spent, like I said, it was way too much time trying to develop this family. Who I honestly did not feel attached to this family at all. I feel like I didn't really have any emotion towards them. Like, they could have died, they could have lived, and I just would have been satisfied with either way, because they didn't really establish anything. They just feel like a fake family. Like, I didn't really feel the chemistry between him and her that much.
And you know, but you know,
which I mean, I guess maybe they were doing that on purpose because she wasn't a real person.
Yeah.
But because there was no chemistry there, I wasn't really feeling emotionally attached to them either. So it kind of was like a double-edged sword doing it that way. And I do not feel like people talking about he's the Black Alfred Hitchcock because of this film. No. The concept, yes, but the execution of the film, I don't really feel like it. I feel like really the only thing that was kind of Hitchcock-esque was really just the score and just, like I said, the overall theme of just like doubles and reflection and stuff like that. Other than that, like, I didn't feel like anything else really made me think of Hitchcock. Not really. Oh, it seemed like they had some type of supernatural strength, but then the family's doubles, they were able to overtake them fairly easy.
What made you feel like they had supernatural strength?
Because they were kind of throwing people around. You know what I'm saying? He was busting through that door.
I felt like they were more aggressive. They had that overall killer instinct, I think. But I don't feel like they had supernatural strength. I think they were, and I think,
and that boy was running like an animal.
They were, because
it was like a Split.
I feel like this movie was one of those things that tries to explore that age-old question of nature versus nurture, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're not getting any of that nurturing, you become pretty animalistic, right? And so to me, that's how, because they couldn't speak, even though they had, just like animals do, they have their own ways of communicating, but they don't use spoken words per se. You know, they didn't have any social skills. You know, they had a really odd hierarchy as far as like, you know, who do they follow, because they didn't have any leader. And so I felt like because they were coming out of nowhere, they got the jump on a lot of people. You know, but she knew that they were coming. So I felt like they had a distinct advantage over anybody else that was attacked, because she knew that something was getting ready to happen. Like their friends, for example, they were just sitting there arguing, listening to music, and out of nowhere, kill, kill, stab, stab. It's done. You know, I read a lot of people saying that they felt that their impression of the movie was that it was a little bit rushed. That he wanted to get something out there so that people didn't lose sight of him, and maybe get something out so that he could be in the mix for the Oscars this year, which that's one of the things that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the acting was good. I definitely think he could still win awards, because Lupita and what's the guy's name that played M'Baku?
Winston Duke. Which I felt like his performance was nowhere near.
Yeah, it wasn't as good
as hers.
Yeah, definitely.
The daughters, I would even put the sons above his. Like, he was kind of lower level on that. He was pretty low key. And I mean, he didn't have a very complex character.
Let's talk about his character though. That weak black man, I think maybe that part of it really kind of made me.
Well, let me ask you a question.
What,
for example, what made him come across as a weak black man?
Because all this stuff, like a lot of the fights, he wasn't really, and I know he got injured, but it's like, bro, your family is in risk. Like, I feel like you said, fight or flight thing. Like, when your family's at risk, you're going to tend to go towards the fight aspect of it. And I feel like
he had that bad. Doing so, though.
He had that bad, but he was using it mostly as a cane. You know, when she came in, like that fight scene where they were about to get out the car, you know, he didn't get out and try to help her. Like, I feel like a husband is like, you know what I'm saying, strong, is going to be like, nah, we about to go out here and fight this together. Like, this is what marriage is about, us fighting together. Yeah, he just kind of came off as not, I mean, and that's a big dude. Like, to me, it almost didn't even feel right that he was kind of sitting in the cut while she doing all this fighting. I read an article just yesterday that was talking about how they almost didn't cast him because of his size, and they felt like he's huge. It would be difficult to feel the way you were supposed to feel about his character, and I guess for you, how are we supposed to feel about his character?
Well, because, and I mean, even just thinking about the way you saw him in Black Panther, I think might be jading your view of him, because you saw him as the epitome of strong black male, and so you might be. I mean, he was like the typical. It could be that he was the typical average dude. Like, he was trying, but he didn't have much to work with. You know, and so I think that's kind of where seeing people in roles that are different from what you are accustomed to seeing them in can be a little bit of a
I told you before, even about Blind Spotted, and I feel like, you know, that was a role with a weak black man as well, and it just makes me kind of upset. I mean, that's just me personally, because
I don't know, I think he was just weak. Like the average dude, even though the one part that I'll say that kind of bothered me was at the ending when they were in the ambulance and the girl wanted to go get mom, and he was like, well, mom knows what to do. And so that was one scene where I could see that. But the rest
and even
of the movie,
when the family first came and they were banging on the door and stuff, he was like retreating too much. Like, at this point, it's like, look, your family in here right behind you.
But what else was all he had was the bat.
But get the bat rid. Like, he wasn't even like in the stance like, I'm about to beat the heck out of whoever come through this door. Like
I said,
I may not get everybody else who all around the house, but this person right here is about to get it.
Corny dude. I don't want to say that he was necessary. I think he was just a regular.
He was
a regular dude.
I mean,
that was the way. You could tell just by the jokes he had and the way he was talking to the kids. The thing with the boat, like he was just a regular dude, and I think that's what they were trying to portray.
So let's get to the things that we liked. The things that we liked. Obviously, I liked the music. I thought the score was great. The acting on Lupita's part was good, and the overall, like,
I really liked the daughter, like especially as the doppelganger. That smile was very creepy.
Yeah.
And just the way that the juxtapose of a kind of more quiet, moody teenager to this girl that's always smiling. And it's amazing how creepy a smile can be.
It is amazing how creepy a smile can be. I do agree with that.
Because the original daughter, I don't think we saw her smile the whole movie, did we? No. She always just kind of looked sullen. And so to see the other one with that was like, what in the world?
Yeah, and that makeup on her.
The makeup on her was crazy. Like, that was probably one of the scene of her chasing her. And when they were in the car, those were two of my favorite. And when
she got threw off the car, she was in that tree still trying to get them before she died.
Yeah, and she was laughing and smiling. It was really creepy. I liked that part. Those were some of my favorite parts. Lupita, like the way she played.
I like that voice. That voice was good. It was a little bit hard to understand some of the stuff she was saying. Yeah. But yeah, I like the fact that she had that kind of creepy, deep voice.
I enjoyed that part a lot. The way she played, it was perfect to me, and that tells me that as a director, he is on fire. To get those kind of performances, especially out of children. I think he's an amazing director. Some of his writing aspects might need a little bit of tweaking. But man, the acting really knocked it out of the park for me. That was that's what kept me on board. I feel like if the acting had have been subpar, they would have completely lost me. But that's what kept, especially her role in particular, kept me on board with this movie.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. The last battles, and actually I like that scene where she was explaining what's it called, doppelganger? And she's cutting the little men that's tethered together. I like that scene a lot. Just visually, I thought it looked good. The fact that she just kind of stood there and waited for her to just tell the whole story was interesting, especially since if you are the original doppelganger, you don't even need to hear the story. You know exactly what happened. So I just felt like her just kind of with the poker or whatever she had, just kind of waiting there. It was just kind of like, would you really just be sitting there, or would you be going ahead and going for the kill? But like I said, visual, I thought it was good. I liked how she was cutting it and it was falling on the floor in little pieces and stuff like that. And then she kind of spread them out and had the people tethered together, and then she cut it like, yeah, we about to be separated. So another thing,
I like the scene of her when they were fighting, but she was more dancing than fighting.
Right. Yeah, the editing on that last battle scene was good. It was good. I liked it a lot. Yeah. Just really kind of comparing fighting to dancing, how it's like it's an art form to it. So that was pretty dope. But and then I feel like and this is something I think could have been a little bit better. It's just kind of showing us more instead of telling us more. You know what I'm saying? Like, show me, what was going on down there in these tunnels. Show me more of that. Like, they did show it a little bit, like the night that she went to that carnival and got lost. But what was life like down there for them? You know what I'm saying? Was it just them just imitating people like the whole time? Or was there things where they actually did other things with, the other people that was down there? Who you said it too. Who was bringing them red jumpsuits? Who were bringing these rabbits? Like, how were they getting food? Like, there had to be a deeper, story to this that I feel like was not expounded on at all. And, they could have used that time at the beginning, which was kind of slow, to kind of establish that, and I think that would have helped the
One
pacing.
of the things that I would have liked more fleshed out that was kind of alluded to, and somebody kind of, by the way, brought it up in the movie group that I'm in, and he's noted that this movie was about a woman having to face the physical manifestation of her trauma. And so that made me reflect back on the beginning scenes with her mom and dad. How, remember, he was like, it's just one more beer. She upset because I got one more beer. Mm-hmm. And the mom not wanting to leave her child with him because she could tell that he was not going to watch her, but leaving him anyway. So it just made you wonder, like, okay, so what was their home life really like? You know what I mean? And so just seeing that was like, okay, I can see that there's some deeper levels to this movie that just weren't fully fleshed out. I definitely could have gotten that if we had have gotten more scenes. I mean, just the way the dad was so odd in the way he interacted with her at the therapist's office. Like, you know, how he just kind of brushed her cheek and then just kind of, to me, just kind of weird. It was odd. And so I could see that. Yeah. But it just wasn't a strong enough connection made during the movie. You really have to kind of, like I was telling you last night, I felt like with everything, you're grasping at straws.
Yeah, and I mean, what even happened to them? Did they break up? You know, like did
I know it had mentioned something about that the grandmother had died. So I mean, I'm guessing they still had this relationship, but it doesn't. It didn't really say. Like there was so much missing from that story. Like I just felt like there were holes all over the story that could have been filled in if the time had have been utilized a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. And that little magic trick that he was doing was whack. I was expecting it to be something a little bit more.
Well, to me, it kind of told you a little bit more about the little boy. He was a pyro.
He was a pyro.
He was a pyro. And that's why when he lifted up his mask and his face was burnt off, I was like, okay, we're looking at what this little boy would be like. Or maybe he had already burned himself.
Yeah.
You know, because I was thinking, well, that's why the mom says, show him your magic trick.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's true. So, but overall, what would you rate this movie?
I'll give this movie a C. I thought it was good. Definitely not great. There was a lot lacking, but it did have some things to offer. And, you know, overall, I feel like I enjoyed myself. It just fell flat at the end.
Yeah, I would give it, I'm going to still probably give it a D, because I gave it a D last night, and I was like, well, maybe I'll think about it. I'm going to still give it a D because, and I know I hate to compare it to his other movies, but I just feel like, you know, coming off of Get Out, this was like a drop. And it could have been good. Like, it had the potential, the elements were there. Like you said, it just wasn't executed, I feel, correctly.
Well, it's kind of like what we talked about last night. And I saw this same mistake with Alita Battle Angel. Not sticking with what your story really was. Like, the story to me, the creepy part to me, was these doppelgangers, where they came from, their purpose, how they, you know, were able to keep maintaining, even though they said that they were forgotten about.
And why were they in that mirror fun house? Like, what was that? Was that a tunnel going down? Like, it just was, it was just a lot of stuff that was just like thrown at you but not explained, and you just were kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I felt like that was the true story. Like, I feel like,
how did they get to
them
that beach?
Attacking them is like kind of like plot B, but to me, plot A was these doppelgangers.
Right.
You know, why is it that they couldn't duplicate the soul?
And then that ending where all of them are all tethered together. Okay, what is that supposed to mean? Are they what? They all in the play.
It will be interesting to see.
They trying to do a sequel,
a director's commentary on this, where he's explaining things point by point, like how they did for Infinity Wars. I will be very. That's a way to get me to watch.
What did they want? What did they want? Like, that was the whole thing. Like, I didn't understand what the goals were.
Well, yeah, they killed
anybody.
They killed their
They
original
wanted to.
what?
They
To do what?
Do they want to just live on the earth? Is that what she said? That they ruined the earth, and so we're down here? Because she said something like that, like you guys are up there, you know, you guys are polluting the earth, and then she's like, oh yeah, we're Americans, and I'm like, what is that supposed to?
I know a lot of people were
say?
saying that the title "us" was actually supposed to be U.S. for United States.
Okay.
And so it was supposed
and it
to
should have
have
just
like
had that period
a
in
whole
there.
political.
That
Which I mean, because somebody was saying, well, you know, they mentioned Mexico, you know, and all that other kind of stuff. So. Yeah, like I said, you can see a lot of different. You can get a lot
just give it to us, Jordan. Like, you don't have to make everything ambiguous. Like, there's things that can be interpreted several different ways from Get Out, and that's great because you get all these different interpretations. But the basic stuff, like the goals, the purpose of what these characters are trying and wanting to do, I need that to just be more clear. And so that's why I have to give it a D, because I was just seeing killing, but not really understanding necessarily why. Like I said, these characters. And then another thing I wanted to mention.
A very minimum. I was really disappointed.
Another thing I want to mention was the fact that they were just sitting up in the house with their feet up. The dad sitting with his feet up. And it's like his friends that just went to the beach with dead on the floor. And it's like nobody cared. Like, you would at least, to me, if that's my friend, I know it's monsters outside. Maybe I do want to stay in the house. I'm gonna at least be respectful and cover their body up with a sheet, maybe shed a tear. Like, it was just like, you know.
I don't know, but it seemed like, I mean,
what's on the news today?
That's the thing about movies, though. I mean, it seemed like some time had passed because he had gotten something to ice his knee. They had got a chance to kind of turn on the TV to kind of see, you know, what's going on. Like, I feel like some time had passed. So maybe they did have some time of kind of breaking down, mourning. Or maybe, I mean, you got to think about it. People react to these kind of traumas in different ways. You know, maybe their reaction was to be, they're still in that fight mode. You know what I mean? So they can't grieve yet because they're still anxious about what's getting ready to happen. Because they didn't kill all of their doppelgangers. There was still 3 out there.
Yeah. Well, that is our review for us.
So let us know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you click the like button and subscribe so that you can always catch our videos. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Peace.